All right, don't pick your nose. All right, I think we're live on Facebook. Let me just make sure I mute this so it's not screaming at me. What's up, Devyn? What's going, brother?
How's it going, Justin?
Doing good, man.
Good.
I think I got the don't pick your nose on the live. Anyway, what's up, guys? Lead to Close community. We got Devyn here. Devyn's not one of our first clients, but he's been around for how long? A year and a half, maybe?
Yeah, a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years now.
Cool, brother. Yeah. So Devyn's doing some really, really cool stuff. So I asked to interview him. He is gracious enough to bless us with his presence. So we appreciate him. So yeah, we're just going to be hanging out for a little bit, kind of walking through how Devyn was able to get to 60K a month in just under 4 months. We're going to get to a lot of that stuff, but Devyn, what I'd like to do is kind of start, give me a little bit of a background on you personally and how you got into, you have a marketing agency, right? So walk me through, have you always had a marketing agency? What were you doing before that? How'd you get into it? Yeah. So I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, you bet. Cool. So I did a lot of general marketing work through high school and college. Instead of getting working at Burger King or something like that, I was kind of making videos and doing websites for just local businesses. And I just liked the idea of that, hey, I can make money kind of on my own. I don't have to go work hourly. So that kind of got me hooked in going down that rabbit hole, and, read all the books and went through a bunch of courses and did the Tai Lopez stuff. And so I think I kind of officially launched it my junior year of college or something like that. And I was all right, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to graduate soon. I want to, be able to do this full time. And I was going to school to go into marketing anyways. So it was kind of fitting. And so I started it, and it kind of blowed for the first year or two. I made
what year was that?
That was
back in.
That was probably 2017, 2018. So three years ago or so. And I was just whatever I could get, I was doing, and doing social media stuff, doing websites, doing videos, just trying to keep afloat basically. And it's just me and myself. And I ended up getting a VA, I think not too long after that, $2 an hour VA, but that's kind of was the start of it. And yeah, that was the start. It was pretty chaotic and just trying to do whatever I could,
Gotcha. So kind of looking back from where you are now, because obviously you're doing pretty good right now, right? So what back then did you feel was missing from where you're at now?
Yeah, of course, hindsight's 2020. Looking back now is there was no clear offer. There was no clear hey, this is what I do and this is how I do it, and I've got a clear process and system to repeatedly do it. It was just if anybody has a pulse and they have a credit card, it's all right, I'll do whatever you need me to. And so
I remember
that was the biggest. Oh yeah. So that's kind of what looking back on. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you started, what did you start doing? Was it just Facebook ads? Was it websites, SEO? What was your offering?
Yeah, originally it was just anything. It was a lot of just more social media stuff. I did a ton of websites, videos, I mentioned, but I kind of got into Facebook ads a little more specifically. And so my dad was, and I guess he still is, actually a dentist. And so that was kind of fitting for me to go down that trail as well. And he let me start doing stuff for his office and kind of using his office as a testing ground. So I would run Facebook ads, and that's kind of what got me to figure that whole niche out, how to run ads for dentists and what works, what doesn't.
Okay.
And then just
so you found the dental niche, and then you kind of went down that. So walk me through what that looked like.
Right. So yeah, like I was saying, Dad was a huge help in kind of getting that going. And then of course he had other dental friends that once he kind of saw that, hey, Devyn knows what he's doing now with our office, you can go talk to my buddies too. So that was helpful for kind of getting the first few dentists on board. But yeah, I definitely like, I went through a lot of courses, a lot of different stuff. And I know sometime around then when I was starting to go through into dentistry, I got in touch with you guys and Conversionly, and that was like, I know you guys were a huge help in kind of giving some guidance and like clarity on like how to start refining that offer down, and like here's how you do this and that, and how to follow up with those leads. Because I know, okay, I'm generating leads now, but then it's like, now how do I make sure they're scheduling the appointment and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. And then once we got that figured out, then it's like, how do we make sure they show up to the appointment? And there's just all these little pieces that have to be, these little dials that have to be like all tuned in correctly, to make the whole thing work right. But
100%. I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's the sales process and the sales life cycle, right? One, you need to generate the lead. The lead needs to turn into an appointment. The appointment needs to show up, and then that show up needs to convert, right? And so those four phases, in between those four phases, are like three things that you need to optimize for. You know, optimize that your leads are turning into appointments. You know, optimize that your appointments are showing up, and you need to optimize that the people who you're talking to actually convert. Right.
Yep.
And what we do is we call that the booked appointment rate, the show up rate, and the close rate. Right. Now, as a marketing agency, you can't really walk in and say, hey, let's close this deal for you, Mr. Dentist. Like, you don't really know how to do that. So you try to get as close as you can. Right.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about your offer. So I think that's when you really started to blow up, is when you are taking those patients as close as you possibly can to that sale. So walk me through how you made 60K in 4 months. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So like, I kind of got, I started getting some clients like 2 years ago that were dentists, and they were all retainers. Right. And it worked, but it like wasn't ideal. And there was like friction with it a little bit. It was kind of hard to sell. And then, I think 4 or 5 months ago, I started talking to you guys, Zach, and you guys were a big help. And like, hey, what is it that they truly want? Like, they want not just leads, like, because we would guarantee X number of leads or X number of booked appointments, but then our attendance rate would be like 50% of like the appointments would actually show up. It's like, that's just not good enough. They'd be frustrated, like they're wasting time with no shows, and so it was like, what do they really want? Well, they want people to walk through their doors and sit in their chair. And that's the case with most businesses, I'd say. And so how do we then build the offer around that? And you guys helped a lot with kind of refining that offer. And so now it's pay per show. So we have clients still on retainer, a handful like from the past, but like the last 4 months, have just been pushing the pay per show model. And it's been really successful. Like we've signed up 5 or 6 clients a month for the last 4 months. So we have like 20 plus clients now just on the pay per show model.
That's nice. That's awesome.
And they like it. It's cool because they're paying for what they want, which is people walking through the door.
So I don't know how much you guys know about myself, but I used to own a digital marketing agency in the chiropractic space back, a couple of years ago. And let me walk you through really quickly the evolution of the marketing agency. So it went from lead generation to like, hey, we'll generate you as many appointments, as you can handle, right? Or excuse me, as many leads as you can handle. Then it went from, okay, we'll get you leads to, hey, let me get you appointments. And then it went from, oh, okay, just let me get you appointments. So let me get you like guaranteed appointments. And it went from like guaranteed appointments to like, okay, let me like make sure that they show up. Right. I don't know what it's going to be next. It could be like, hey, pay per client or whatever, pay for someone that actually makes you pay money. But that's cool. So what are the logistics behind that? Like if someone is maybe wanting to do like a pay per show marketing agency, what does that, look like?
Yeah, I mean, it took a little while to figure out all the little pieces that go behind the scenes, but it's really ran pretty much all through Go High Level at the moment, and just different automations and triggers so we have our own agent who we got from you guys.
Marketing guys could just put your money where your mouth is, just get me like I just want, can you do like a pay per performance thing is what they would say. Back then we we were successful with the offer that we had. So it was like, when we get those guys, I'd be just like, I'm not redesigning my whole entire back end just for this one guy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
as the market evolves and as the market starts to catch up and the competition starts to be a little more fierce, you got to start moving forward and plowing forward. And that's the best thing about competition and capitalism, is that when you do have
Definitely.
competition, it makes everybody better, you know?
Hmm.
And if
Definitely.
you're on the front end of that competition, if you're on the front end of that innovation, then you're reaping the benefits, which
Definitely.
is, usually success and, dollar amounts. So,
Yeah. And I remember Zach saying something along the lines of like, I think I told him like, man, dentists are just so hard to like get through to. And he said, you have two options. Either you can find a niche or an industry that's less saturated and less competitive, or you come up with a better offer that's going to make you stand out. And so that's kind of what I was like, okay, well, I think the paper show offer, they like it. I've heard the same thing, like you're saying, like pitching retainer. I got that same thing. Like, hey, if you could do something performance based, like that'd be cool. And so, yeah, our close rate now is like probably over 50%. When we get on a demo with a dentist, we're closing those dentists because they like
now,
that.
anyone who's watching this, the reason why his close rate is over 50% is because his offer is extremely valuable. It's what his prospect wants. He's done the research. He knows how to back it up, and he's essentially he's putting his money where his mouth is. So we talk about a lot of times is creating an irresistible offer. If you can create an irresistible offer, the chances of someone saying no are going to be very slim. On average closing rate should be around 20%. That's doing something pretty good. Now, if it gets bumped up to around 50%, that means like if you're meeting with 6 people a day, 8 people a day, you're closing 3-4 deals a day, which is that's pretty good, right?
Mhm.
And then at that point, if like you just kind of do the math backwards, if you know that you can close 50%, you just try to figure out how can you get more leads on your calendar because you
Exactly.
know that you
That's
can
where we're at.
fulfill.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then that's when it
Yeah.
becomes fun, right? When you
Yeah.
know you have the numbers met on each one of those 4 stages, like from lead to booked appointment to show up rate, from show up rate to close. If you know you're within those KPIs, that's when business becomes fun because one, you're successful and you're making money. That's always fun. And then two, it's just like a game of Jenga. You try to figure out how to put the pieces here so that you can continue
Yeah.
to scale the company, right?
Definitely.
So what's the biggest
Totally agree.
takeaway from, I mean, you're kind of like in it right now, speaking of scaling. So like, what's the biggest takeaway
Hmm.
that you could use like from the scaling process and getting to like where you're at now?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say definitely number one, like you said, is having an irresistible offer. If we didn't have that, still be probably kind of where we were at a year ago. Because that's, like I said, in 4 months of doing it, it's like 4 or 5x what we were doing monthly. So, I mean, the offer number one is huge. And then I'd say definitely number two is having a good team and like people that can help support the business and cover like different skill sets and, you know, sales reps and account managers and VAs and fulfillment people, ads managers, all that good stuff. And so I'm starting to get that all dialed in as well. Like the team, like the last month or two, people taking care of stuff. But yeah, I'd say those are the two biggest things. And then you can sit back and pull the different strings and, like you're saying, just try to make it scale. So
Yeah,
I'd
when
say
we
those are
look at
definitely the two
scaling, I think
biggest,
that the two
the
biggest
offer and the
things that we
team.
find, yeah, the two biggest things that we find that helps a business go from being okay to being like, good or great is
Hmm.
one, the uniqueness of the offer and the offer itself, like making sure that that offer is super irresistible. And then what you'll find, and I think what Devyn is saying here, is that having a team and a system behind that that delivers the result, right? Dan
Yes,
Kennedy once
definitely.
said that the person who can pay the most money to acquire a customer always wins, right? And I've also heard someone else say the person who loves the customer the most will always win, right?
I like
So
that.
when you acquire that customer, you have to, just pour your heart out into over delivering for that client. Because at that point, not only are you going to be able to increase your revenues with like inbound marketing and outbound marketing, like dialing up the numbers, but then also your clients are going to be your best referral source. And everyone here watching this, if you have a business, you know that the number one thing that you want is your clients referring you because those are the easiest people to close, right?
Mhm.
So I
Definitely.
guess kind of wrapping this up, Devyn, what would
Yeah.
be like your biggest feedback or your biggest word of encouragement for someone who's just starting out, maybe trying to figure out where they're going, or figuring out the offer?
Yeah.
What would you say to that
Yeah.
person?
I'd say just keep going. I mean, a little persistence will go a long ways, you know. I mean, because like I said, I've been doing this 3-4 years, and in the last 4 months, it feels like it's finally picked up. So it's like if I would have, after the first 6 months, said, all right, you know, I'm making 1 or 2 grand, 3 grand maybe a month, like that's not good enough. I'm gonna throw in the towel. Like just persistence, keep at it, like keep figuring out all the little pieces, invest in yourself, and it'll all work out if you look at it in the big picture for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, one thing that we try to look at it when we're taking on clients is, you know, how awesome they are and how much they want to actually put in the work. Because even though like we could give Devyn as much coaching as possible, Zach can give him as many like systems, I can give him as many, you know, like prospecting things. But if we give that to him and he doesn't actually deliver on that, and he doesn't do what he's supposed to do and have the persistence day in and day out to be able to build a company, Devyn probably wouldn't be at where he's at now. Right. So just everyone out there, just make sure that you are persistent with whatever you do. There's a
Yeah.
book that, you know, I think Devyn, you've read it too. I forgetting the name of it, but every single little action that you, and then,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, while we're talking about irresistible offers, Zach and I just released the irresistible offer for Conversionly. We have a money back guarantee. So if you're watching this video, you're kind of interested in like, hey, how do I sign up with Conversionly, or how do I get more information? I'm going to drop a comment inside of this post so that you guys can book a time with us, and then you can talk to one of our wonderful sales reps to kind of see what that looks like. So. All right, brother. I appreciate it,
Yeah.
Devyn. I hope you have a good
Yeah.
day, and
Yeah.
we'll talk to you later.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks.
See you,
You
man.
too. Thanks, Justin. All right. See you later.
See you.